Hello students, the ICC board exams most probable question is the poem The Cold Within. So The Cold Within is written by James Patrick Kinney. Now the poet is an Irish American poet, and this poem was written in 1960s when there was a lot of African American movement. And this poem, especially the poet has written to bring out the futility of discrimination. So the very first stanza of the poem: 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold, each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the stories told. So the poet says that there were 6 humans, that is 6 special type of individuals. They were trapped, that is they were trapped by happenstance, that is they had no escape. They were trapped in that situation. There were no escape from the situation, which was created by chance. And what was the atmosphere like? The atmosphere was bleak and bitter, was cold and bleak, because there is no hope for anyone to survive. They all possessed a stick of wood. All the 6 humans had a stick of wood, as recounted by the story, as the poet had heard such a story told. So they are so cold from inside that they all perish in that situation. The second stanza: their dying fire in need of logs, but the first one held hers back, for of the faces round the fire she noticed one was black. So the fire was in between, and the 6 humans were surrounding the fire, and that fire was dying in need of more input of woods. But the first among those 6 humans, she could see that, or she noticed a black person among those 6 humans, and she was not ready to give her stick of wood in the fire. So this stanza represents racism. Why that woman was a white woman, and she did not want to contribute because she noticed a black man among the humans. The next man, looking across the way, saw one not of his church, and could not bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. So the third stanza represents religious prejudice. The next man among those 6 humans, he looked across the fire and saw one of the humans not belonging to his church, or not belonging to his religious community. So he could not be so charitable to give his stick of birch, stick of wood in the fire, and therefore what he does, he holds it back, holds the log of wood back. So this is representing religious prejudice. So the different stanzas represent the different evils these humans were having their heart. They did not have a very warm heart. Their heart was full of malice, envy, prejudices, and therefore they could not be benevolent to give the stick of wood in their hands in the fire, and they all therefore perished in that cold night. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his lag be put to use to warm the idle rich? So the next person, the third person, he was in tattered clothes, that is, he was in old and torn clothes, and he just gave a his coat pull a hitch so that he can keep himself warm, and but he too was not ready to give his stick of wood in the fire because he did not want to warm the rich whom he considered to be idle. So this stanza represents envy, the poor man's envy towards the rich man. The next stanza, the rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. So the rich man, the next person among those 6 humans, was a rich man who sat back and thought of how he had hoarded his wealth, and he did not want to part with his wealth and which he had earned, and he thought that he cannot spare a little wealth, that is a little stick of wood also in the fire, because he thought that the poor who were lazy, shiftless, he did not want to help. He did not want to help that poor person among those 6 humans who was lazy and shiftless. This shows the malice of the rich man. The next stanza, the black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. Now here you see this stanza, the 6th stanza, is representing the human evil of revenge. The black man who was not ready to contribute the stick of wood because he wanted to take revenge from the white woman who had shown racism, who had not helped with the stick of wood, and therefore in spite, that is in revenge of the white woman, he did not contribute in the fire, in the dying fire, his stick of wood. The 7th stanza, you see, the last man of this forlorn group did not accept for gain. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. Now the last man is representing, the last man of the 6 humans is representing selfishness. He was a selfish woman. He did not want to give anything from, if he did not get anything from the others. And this was how he played his lion, he played the game of his life. And therefore he was not ready to part for the stick of wood. The 8th stanza, the logs held tight in death's still hand, was proof of human sin. They did not die from cold without, they died from the cold within. Now the logs of wood held by the 6 men, they were all tight, they were holding tight as the death's still hands, and they actually was inviting death because of their prejudices as a human sin. And the last 2 lines represents the irony that they did not die from the cold without, they died from cold within. Cold without means cold outside. So all the 6 men perished, not from the cold which was outside, but from the cold in their heart, which was the lack of warm heart. They had to contribute in the dying fire, and therefore they all perished because of the evil nature they had, because of the human sin they had. Now this poem has few figures of speech used. For example, the alliteration bleak and bitter, the use of be to emphasize the line. Then we have the use of oxymoron, forlorn group. Oxymoron is also a figure of speech, that is use of contradictory words. Forlorn means lonely, and group means the group cannot be lonely, but they were 2 contradictory words used in the poem. Then death still hands, this is a personification. That is, death has been given the still hands, the quality of a human. And the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, C, B. Of all the 8 stanzas are there with 4 lines each, having the rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. Thank you, students. All the best for the exam.